do you know how to stop it getting locked automatically? The screen lock, where you know, where is it?
Not so complicated.
Don't worry, not bad. Om Shri Sai Ram, offering prayerful and loving Sai Ram and pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. Most esteemed elders, dear brothers and sisters, a very, very loving Sai Ram to all of you. It's been a great afternoon. It's been a very, very memorable day already for me. Now, as I was listening to the choir of our elder brothers and sisters, as I was looking at the dance program, it was as if the theme of a Hollywood movie where there is the protagonist has got amnesia and then one by one memories start opening up. You would have seen some movies there that way, kind of a thing. Oh, this, that, old memories, all faded memories just lighting up. And all these faces, one by one, oh yes, I have seen this, I have seen, oh, this is part of me, this is part of my memory, this is part of my past, this is part of my life with Swami. This is part of our collective existence. This is part of we being with Sai, we being in Sai. That was my most powerful takeaway from the morning session. The joy of being together with brothers and sisters, the joy of being in Sai's company. Before we start, before we get into our own session today, I think it is right that we speak a little bit about our dear brother Arvind, my younger brother, a wonderful young man, and the reason that he is not here today with us because of his father's sad demise. I wasn't aware of his father's demise, but I was aware that he has been going through a lot of challenge in life. But we all pray to Swami for the Sadgati, the merger of the departed soul at his lotus feet. And we also pray for strength to the family to deal with this irreparable loss. But more importantly, it is at times like this that we see the beauty of a life well led, the joy with which a person who has led a good life embraces the last moment, the confidence with which the family of such an individual takes on the responsibility, takes on the big decision of not resuscitating, to signing the DNR is not an easy decision, but to tell that this is not the end, this is an onward, wonderful journey forward. To be able to take that decision, to be in a space, in a situation, in a mind space, in a consciousness where that is our natural way of being, that is the gift of Swami. That is something that I thought we should bow our heads down to Swami and be with this young brother of ours as they all deal with a very sad situation and at the same time a happy situation of a merger of a beautiful soul at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. So today, what I'll be talking about, I thought that since there are two topics and so it was a very short notice, Brother Sugu already spoke about the adventures of reaching Malaysia in 48 hours. My CEO, my chairman, my HR were going head over heels trying to organize the immigration. I did not even know that there is an exit policy, there is an exit immigration requirement from Thailand when I said yes to brother Suresh Govind, and we went through the entire loop. But it was miraculous to see how confident we are in Swami. That when the visa gets rejected, still saying that no, I'm going to I got a reject message on my phone, and then I say that no, we'll take the flight. Let's try the online visa on arrival thing, and nobody had a doubt that this will not happen. And within 48 hours to be here amidst all of you is a grace grace of Swami, for which we are all grateful for. So what I thought we'll do in these 2 sessions is that today we will spend some time living with Swami, and tomorrow we'll think about the living in Swami part. Today it's about the Bhagavatam. Tomorrow we could be the Bhagavad Gita. Today it is about the story, the loving story of Bhagwan. Tomorrow it's about his teachings. Today it's about bhakti. Tomorrow it will be about jnana and karma. Today it's about devotion. Tomorrow it's about wisdom and action. You're okay with that? I mean, is that a good way to do? Having been picked up, I always keep telling myself that you have been picked up randomly. You have been a stone that Swami has just picked up. He could have picked up anybody, and he had told me many a times, right? Do you think you have anything special that you have been picked up by me? Do you think there are not many more smarter people than you? There are not many more intelligent people than you? Many more hardworking people than you? Do you think you are something special? You're only special because I have picked you. So don't be egoistic about it. So he had drilled that long back and very, very firmly down into me. And I know that. And I know that we are all stones on the pebbles on the road that have been sanctified by the divine touch of his feet. We are all aspiring to be sculpted by him. And here is an opportunity. Here was one jiva that got an opportunity to be sculpted. And that jiva considers it his responsibility to share that experience, to talk about every chiseled stroke that was cast upon that rock, every carving that happened, every negative aspect that was removed, every non-self, the anatma, as Swami says, that was chiseled out. The joy of it, the agony of it, the bliss of it, the despair of it. It's a beautiful journey, and my life's purpose after 2011 has been to share that knowledge, to share that with my brothers and sisters, making them feel that they are also one of that picked up pebbles, that they are the rocks that have been picked up. Not directly by the physical Lord, but the experiences that the Lord has put this rock through. I think each of us are going through those experiences. So what I do is, at any point of time, I always invite my brothers and sisters to join the journey, to be part of that journey. Don't be a spectator listening in. Be part of the movie, the part of the scene. Be an active participant in this story. Put yourself in the I'll try as much as possible to describe the scenes, the smell, the sound, the feelings, the emotions, so that you feel that you have lived through that experience, and you know that you and I are not different. If one Jivatma has gone through this experience, it is all of us who has gone through that experience, because it is the divine who has given this experience to one individual random Jivatma. So welcome to this journey of living a special day with Swami. Let's live one 24-hour day with Swami. It's a day that has been built across many years of this thing, but many years of stay with him, but it's packed into that 24 hours. There is a concept in Sanskrit, a word in Sanskrit called prahar. Prahar is, there are 8 prahars in a day, right? It's a prahar is a 3-hour period, And a day is divided into 8 3-hour periods. So what I'll do in this is divide the 24 hours into 8 units of 3 hours each, and narrate incidents about that 3 hours. I think so. You will get up with Swami at 4 o'clock and then live the day and have snapshots, have snippets of just like what during that program those memory flashes happened in my mind. I hope that memory flashes happen in your mind. Yes, we have lived. This is a lived experience. This is an experience with Swami. 4 o'clock, 4 to 7 is the first prahar. In our hostel, there used to be an urban legend when we were as students, and we were already come in the 90s when I had 91 when I had joined. We were already too late, right? And the boys, our seniors, were always already saying that, oh, you guys have come too late, man. The good old days were back then. I think every generation has said that, right from the 40s, right? And even we now are saying it to the people who have come after 2011. But with the divine, it is always the right time. So there was an urban legend of the brothers telling that there was a time when Bhagwan would come and wake us up and tell us to chant the Suprabhatam. I hope you see the irony of it, right? Here is Bhagwan waking you up to telling, okay, wake me up now, right? Ishwaramba Sutta Sriman Purva Sandhya Pravartate. So that was the story that our elder brothers used to tell, saying that in the earlier hostel that near Brindavan when this college had started, or when they would go to Ooty, Swami would come out and tell, hey, get up, chalo, jaldi Suprabhatam kar sakta hai. Let's do Suprabhatam, chant your Suprabhatam. So that was our wake up in Swami's room. We would be tossing in our bed. 3 of us would be lying, myself and 2 other brothers. This was in 98 when I just started living in Purnachandra, and 3 of us would be lying on our bed, on our mattresses, and we would be awake. We know that Swami is pacing around. We can see the shadow, covering the light bulb, this dim light bulb every now and then. Swami is pacing up and down. We could make out that he's coming and watching the clock, waiting for the right time to kick us out, right? But knowing that the youngsters need their sleep, not kicking us out too early, and then there would be the switching off of the AC, and that was our Suprabhatam, right? And we would jump out of bed immediately and then roll our mattresses, and every day on the way out we'll be thinking, is it something special today? Is it Guru Purnima? Is it some festival? Is it my birthday? Is it his birthday? Is it some special day to take a Padma Namaskar, right? Any chance that we get. Swami, today is Avatar Declaration Day. So today is every small Krishna Janmashtami, all the big festivals, yes, but we would keep looking for an excuse to with the mattress in our hand. So one of us would get a sudden idea, and then they would put the mattress down and take Namaskar. Swami, Heroes Amity. What is there today? And then he'll tell, okay, tisko, stunt. He'll tell, take the Namaskar and go. Early morning, right? He would allow us to take the Namaskar and go out. After that, it was, Bhagwan's ritual. Even Swami has a ritual of walking for 40 minutes. He would walk in that room, in a small room, which is probably, 15, 20 feet. He could at most probably take 20 steps in one way, right? And he would walk for 40 minutes in that constrained space, and finish that, and then around 5:45 there would be our cook who would come with a few pieces of apple, and then Swami would take, early morning he would take some apple, take rava ganji, and then he'd be fresh and ready for the darshan. The joy with which Bhagwan got ready for darshan, right, was something that I'll speak about more in detail. What I always also want to do during this time, as part of this narrative, is that talk to you about the normal routine so that you have lived the day with Swami, but also talk about one extraordinary incident that happened in that slot, in that prahar. So for me, that special thing of the 4 to 7 slot, morning slot, is my first Christmas after I became close to Swami in 1996. There was such anticipation of knowing that now that I'm close to Swami, and I will get a closer darshan on Christmas, because the Christmas darshan used to be beautiful, right? You have seen that white photograph of Swami in the white robe on the top of the mandir, right? And now that Swami waving to the waving of the candles down here, and the mellifluous the melody of the carols wafting through the air, and Bhagwan just standing there and swaying. So it was, live with me the excitement of a 22-year-old who was hoping that I'll get a closer view of this. I'll be close to Swami, and I'll not be down there, but I'll be probably somewhere near Swami. And to see Swami in a white robe would be a beautiful thing. Was the aspiration, and Swami had very to add to the anticipation. Swami had told you, come early morning, 5:30, you come to the Purnachandra auditorium. And I thought, wow, this is it. This is going to be my most coveted day. I went to Purnachandra 5:30, and I was allowed to come inside. And I was standing there, and I saw Swami come down in an orange robe, right? I have never ever been disappointed seeing an orange robe, but that day I was so disappointed, so dejected to see the orange robe, because I was that built up, that white robe, that velvet robe in my mind. That orange robe was a complete anticlimax for me. So, and I didn't know what to do. And Swami is sitting, is not looking glamorous. Not yet in that glamorous darshan mode. This is the first time I'm seeing Swami so early in the morning, 5:30. I was still a student in the hostel, and he was Swami sitting down, and he's talking to Chiranjit Rao sir had come early in the morning there, and he was giving some instructions early in the morning, and I was wondering what's happening, where's darshan, and kind of a thing, and I could hear the Nagar Sankirtan had probably started, and they had started going that way, and then suddenly Swami said, padam, 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 let's go. I told, okay, let's go. And Swami, in his orange robe, he comes out of Purnachandra and goes into the interview room from the back side, from the back door. He enters from the back door towards the mandir. And then again he goes and sits in the interview room chair, and we still don't hear the Nagar Sankirtan happening. And we are sitting, I'm thinking about, anticipating what's going to happen. And then suddenly he says, padam, padam, ready, ready, ready. And then he goes into a small room that leads from the interview room to the inner rooms, to the kitchen. And in that small room, probably the robe had been kept by the attendant, by the cook who was there at that point of time, Subapaya. And he goes inside, and after about 5 to 7 minutes, he comes out in those white, dazzling robe. My heart stopped, right? It's Swami going in with that orange robe, and then coming out fully, the hair beautifully done, the full crown of hair perfectly done, and then he looks at me with a twinkle in his eye. There's a twinkle in his eyes. How do you think it's okay now? I mean, am I still disappointing? Kind of a thing, right? And he goes up to darshan, and so that's one of the most memorable moments, dear brothers and sisters, of the 4 to 7 time slot of living with Swami. The surprises, the beauty of those small moments of Bhagwan's physical presence, of his gentleness, of his grace, of his grace, his graciousness, his gracefulness. It's his tenderness is unbelievable. And next comes the 7 to 10 prahar, the next prahar. That's what I call the Samashti Darshan prahar, right? That's the time for the universal darshan where he is the Lord of the creation, and that darshan is meant for everybody. And he gets ready, and he comes, and for me, the memory is that of peeping from the interview room. After Swami had his normal, apple and ganji, I would walk from the Purnachandra along with the cook. That was the instruction, and I would go and sit in the kitchen. There was a dining table, and I would be, doing some of my work and reading up something. I had picked up a lot of reading. I used to practice writing Telugu, and all those things I would be doing inside the dining hall, waiting for Swami to come out. So at around 6:45, the music would start. And for me, darshan was a glimpse of Swami coming from Purnachandra auditorium through the window of the interview room, right? Put yourself in that place. Many of you would have got interviews. You would have seen that clock on the interview room. There's those vibhuti baskets kept there, Swami picking up and giving. Then there's those small 2 windows, right? Peeping through that and seeing Swami come, right? The crisp morning air, the fragrance of wafting from that vibhuti bag, the gentle music coming in, and the graceful gliding Swami coming to darshan in the Kulwant Hall. That has been my memory for many years. That was the unchangeable schedule, right? Of 6:45, anytime between 6:35 to 7, the music would start, and then Swami would come wafting down, and I would wait for Swami to complete, go to a darshan and disappear towards the gent side, after which you cannot see anymore from that window, and then I would go inside and again wait for Swami. Another memory of that slot is from a different point of view. In Vrindavan, Swami had instructed, this was in my early days, the very first few days of Swami interacting with me. Swami had said that you don't sit outside, come and sit inside the Trai Vrindavan compound, and you sit in that place where normally people sit before the interview. And my memory of that 7 to 10 time frame before darshan is of Swami peeping from his bedroom window and looking whether I am sitting there or not, right? So peeping from the window is a beautiful memory of Swami in this 7 to 10 prayer, and to know that God is always watching you, right? God is always watching you, and Bhagwan was a big time peeper, right? He would be from behind the curtain watching, right? Watching the boys in action, watching, and the joy that Swami had in watching the boys in action, watching his children in action, in doing something, in doing seva or doing some work, from behind the curtain. The joy from Kodaikanal, the 7 to 10 period was where he would just come out of his bedroom and part the curtain and watch the huge long queue of devotees waiting by the lake, waiting for the entry. The joy that Bhagwan got of seeing the devotees anticipating him, right? Live that experience from his point of view. We have lived the experience from this side, waiting for Swami. Live that experience from his point of view. He, the Master, the Divine Lord, enjoying the anticipation that you show, enjoying empathizing with the struggle of the cold in which the devotees were still waiting with a long queue, and telling all of us boys at 7 in the morning that you Dunnapotas, you buffaloes, you are sitting here, just look at them, get up, stand up, look at them. Look at the devotees who are standing, queuing there, right? And no, you do not understand what joy it is, what good fortune is yours to be inside the Sai Shruti at my lotus feet. Just look at them, right? And dear brothers and sisters, take a thought, pause, tarry, think, look at the beautiful passing away of Brother Arvind's father. Look at what good fortune is ours to have a master who has guided us this way. And look at all those people who are going through the suffering of life, without guidance, without a light being shed, thinking that all that suffering that the ego causes, all the suffering that the cold outside, that chills to the very bones of the people, thinking that that is real and suffering unnecessarily there without having the guidance of a higher life, without knowing. Think of Swami telling you all as Dunnapotas, you don't know. You know what's Dunapota, right? Dunapota means a he buffalo, right? It's the he buffalo. And Dunapotas, you do not know how fortunate you are. Tarry a little. Think about the good fortune of the teachings that Bhagwan has given, the joy, the community, the fraternity that Bhagwan has created for us to be in the warmth of Sai love. And that is a reflection of the 7 a.m. Prahar from Swami probably. For me, another memory of the regular day was waiting for 8 o'clock when Swami would have, between 7:45 to 8:15, Swami would have completed the interview in the morning and he would enter the dining hall, right? We would be waiting for the crack sound, the sound of the latch opening, right? And then all of us will get up and then wait for, wait for Swami's, hair to come in and him to turn around the corner in that small compact place. Different entries and different days. He would have finished a very serious interview. He would have given, the most deepest spiritual thoughts out there, completely changed lives of people in the interview room there, transformed them, taken them to a different plane, and then he would come in playfully into the interview room. He would do, different days. One day he'll come full open, the door will, almost open up, come in and he'll go and sit, hey, tiskura. He would want a few slices of apple. He'll give, you have to go again. It will be the hustle and bustle and the thing of, in one day. The next day he would come very peacefully and saying that he won't even talk to anybody. He will go look at go to the mirror, comb his hair, come settle down, not say a word. And the next day, there was a day when he came like this. Like he literally came into the interview room. From the interview room, he came like this. Then he looks up at me and smiles. He's playing, right? He's play acting. He has finished, he has solved probably a life crisis for somebody, and then he is coming here play acting. He had, there were different ways. There were times when I was going through somebody reminded me about my 1,000-day cold storage life. And that was a time when he would come sit. He would make sure that there's an apple, a plate of apple for him, a plate of apple for me, not look at me. That apple would turn into ash in my mouth, right? And he would insist that I eat. He would call the cooks to do Pad Seva to him, and he will not allow me to do Pad Seva. The agony of self-reflection, the agony he would put you through, right? Reflect back in your own lives. What agony has he put you through, right? The times when you have never been able to access him, you have been trying and breaking your head towards problems, with problems, hoping and praying and crying out for his help, and you found that he is not there, not knowing that he is always there, that he's waiting for you to understand that there is an ego, a barrier, something not the true self that is stopping you from having his darshan. Reflect. This is the reflection that we need to have in our spiritual lives, in our, when we talk about the 7 to 10, spending 7 to 10 a.m. with Swami. His lunch at 9:30 would be a competition with the Aarti, right? He would, by the time the 5th or the 6th bhajan starts, the cook knows that he has to open up everything, and I would also help in keeping all the tiffin carriers that would come from the various houses ready, and we would be waiting. The moment Om Jai starts, we have to start serving. The plate would be served, and we would just be waiting for Swami to come in to serve the ragi sangati. Swami would eat a ragi malt. We would be waiting. That should be served hot, but all the chutneys and all those things would be kept small amounts, teaspoons. Servings would be with teaspoons for Swami. And Swami would, sometimes he would stand and eat, sometimes he would sit and eat, but always, by the time Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu is over, he would have finished, washed his hands, and he'll be out. There was a time where I had the liberty of being a youngster, and being a youngster, I had the liberty of making some stupid suggestions. I had also suggested that, Swami, can we have Asotoma Sadgamaya also in the chanting after the Aarti, so that you get more time to eat, right? So the joy, the craziness, the crazy things that we had done, to see that Bhagavan is comfortable, to see that, just like he lives for us, can we live for him? Can we think about him? Can we do things for others? He's teaching us. He's at every point of time that life is beyond ourselves. We get trapped into our own troubles, our own challenges, our own likes and dislikes. And there is no time for others in our life. Right? And here is Bhagavan in various ways, in leaving back those small vestiges of memories in our mind to tell us that life is much more than what your ego allows you to think it is. Right? It's much more than that. But the special things in the 7 to 9 time frame, Prahar, was the visit to the Hillview Stadium to watch the sports meet practice, right? And Swami would love, I would wait for the January period, because, all of a sudden Swami would come in from the interview room, and he'll tell, hey, koi kuchapo, like, go and sit. And I'll run out and I'll sit in the car, knowing that we are going to the stadium to watch the students practice. And the sheer involvement, every year on year, he has seen the same drills and the same things. But every year he would have the same enthusiasm, same engagement, same involvement with the boys as they practiced. And every boy, every girl would get the same attention from him, knowing that here is Swami come to see our practice, and we will do our best to please him. Right? We can always be recipients, knowing that Swami is watching us, or we can be givers. Can we be in that position, encouraging our younger generation, our next kids? I was just looking at the number of clubs that is there in this school. Did you notice as you climb up? I was fascinated by the number of clubs, the cacophony of the symphony down there, the music practice that the kids were doing, right? I mean, there was all kinds of noises coming out, but there was so much of joy in that practice amongst these kids. And I felt like Swami. I felt so vast. I felt so immense when I was filled with love for these kids as they were practicing there. Do we feel that? Can we be like Swami? Can we be that peeper from the window, that parting of the curtain, and watch the joy out there? Can we open the curtain of our ego, part the curtain of their, what is the word for that? It's, their, I'm not getting the word, the defenses, their defenses. And can we see the real them? Can we see beyond what we are projecting? Can we see beyond what they are projecting? Can we become one? Can we be there for others? But one of the most beautiful memories of how he inspires, the sheer inspiration that he gives to live with burning idealism in that age, right? It was, I was 22. It was the year 1997. I still remember it was the 8th of January, because it was my dad's birthday. And I was in the hostel. I was wearing a red striped shirt, I still remember. And I had finished my breakfast. I was washing my plate. And suddenly there was a commotion outside in the hostel. And somebody came running, hey, where's Sathya, where's Sathya? And I said, hey, here, Swami has come here, Swami is waiting for you. I was not clear as to where is Swami waiting, but I realized that Swami's car is waiting and he has called for me. So I came running from there. God bless his soul, my roommate, he came running with a white shirt, right? I put the white shirt over my red shirt and ran towards the towards Swami's car, right? And I thrust the plate into his hands. He took the plate away, gave me the shirt. I ran to Swami's car. I went and sat next to, and Swami told Kucho, and I sat huffing and puffing inside Swami's car, and Swami told the driver go. And then and Swami says, "Hey Umesh, chudra evaru charu." Swami says, "Hey Umesh, look who has come down." And I looked forward. Umesh is my father, and he's sitting in the front seat. So it was probably his birthday ride that Swami was giving him. So I think the one and only time that he would have sat in Swami's car. And I was happy. He was happy to see me. The joy that Swami is spreading. And then, out of the corner of the eye, Swami said, "Oh, adientra." My red collar was peeping out of my white shirt, right? And he put his hand and pulled out the collar. Oh, red chakka kuda vestava? Oh, you wear your red shirt also. It was just a fun comment, right? No instructions, this, that. But that craze, that desire to be completely in sync with him, to be, to do anything that is required, to be in sync with his philosophy, feeling wanted by him, feeling close to him. I went that evening, after that I had to go to college, but that evening, after coming from college, I packed every single colored cloth that I had and I gave it to the cooks and the workers in the hostel. For the next 15 years, I never wore anything other than whites, right? It's a crazy, it's a crazy, absolutely crazy thing, but just the point is that who can inspire that kind of craziness, that kind of desire to be close, desire to tie yourself into knots to make sure that I am yours, Swami, that I am willing to do anything to be in sync with you. Maybe I'll misunderstand. Maybe I'll become too rigid. That's what the organization goes through. You become very rigid. You become, extremely rigid about certain things, and then you loosen up. But then the intent of that rigidity, the intent of all these things is all about wanting to be closer, wanting to be in sync with a larger philosophy, right? And these are all so I hope you're getting the drift, brothers and sisters, of what we're discussing here, that it's just that 7 to 10 period, living that 7 to 10 period with Swami, and there is so much of reflection that can happen from those few moments of life led with Swami. But that does not happen unless there is love, unless there is reflection, unless there is, that time is spent reflecting, reliving those moments, cherishing it, bringing out the beauty of those moments. That's when, true living with Swami happens. What's the time kind of a thing? We started at 4:30, right? So I've got a long time. So I hope you're okay for a long session. Are you all feeling okay? Brother, they're not following your instructions. They're not following the instructions that you're given, brother. Okay. Where was I? Another beautiful memory of that 7 to 9 period, 7 to 10 period was those quick drives. Suddenly, Swami would take us on, and one of these drives, I heard a beautiful bhajan going on in primary school. So Swami had gone for a drive, and as we were crossing the primary school, there was this bhajan. I don't know whether you've heard, I'm sure you would have heard that. Ek baar kshama karo sai, mere baba. That song, right? So, I said that I just loved the tune of this song, right? Because it's a very lilting music, and Shirdi ke sai teri yaad mujhe aayi. So I used to love this song, and but the thing is that it was not being sung very often these days, right? So because not very often these songs were coming, and probably I don't know what happened. And I said that when we were passing in the car, and when that wafting music came from the bhajan hall into the air-conditioned car of Swami. I said, Swami, this bhajan, Swami, it's a very beautiful bhajan. But these days, I don't get to hear this bhajan much, right? And a bit, because the music is so good. But Swami says, oh, these days I'm not shouting too much at them, right? Right? he's always, right? It's about, the bhajan is about, please forgive me, right? And so Swami says, no, please forgive me once, for those who don't understand the Hindi part. Ik baar kshama karo sai is, for once forgive me, Swami, for once forgive me. So Swami says, I don't shout at him much. So here we are thinking of the lilting music, and there he is only looking at the words and the give and take. Just look at that interaction between Swami and the devotees. No music, all those things are secondary. The bhava is the most important thing, right? The intensity with which you sing the bhajan and the way it is received by Bhagwan, those are the most important memories. To the next prahar. What prahar is this? What slot is this? 10 to 1. Good, you're paying attention. Good. As a teacher, you always have to check whether people are paying attention or not. So 10 to 1. Good students. So the 10 to 1 period was the official darbar period of, I used to call it official darbar, right? That's the time where the office work of Swami would happen most of the time. Of course, for meetings, some of the meetings he would do there, but this is the time where the ashram officials would come and take Swami's instructions. That he would, by 9:30 after his race against the bhajans while doing the bhojan, he would finish the aarti and he would come down. Then he would go up and rest for a while. By 10:45, 10:30, he would be down again, right? And he would have a pile of letters, and he would keep on reading the letters and going through that. And that was the time for some domestic chatter kind of a thing, where there was his good friend was Shauri sir. Shauri uncle was the caretaker of this, and Swami would enjoy asking him, "Aaj kya khaya? What did you eat today?" It was almost like the most repeated joke ever, right? I mean, he every single day almost he would come and ask Shauri sir, "Aaj kya khaya?" And poor gentleman, 80 plus year old, he would invariably forget what he has eaten that day, right? Invariably. And every second day, every third day, kaisa bhul sakta hai ra? Swami, how can you forget this? So this is him in his home, and sitting there, watching, reading his letters. That flow of his action, picking up a letter from this side, tearing it, putting the cover here, opening up the letter, reading it, tearing it, putting down, picking up the next letter. It's a poetry in motion. We could spend hours sitting and doing nothing, just watching Swami do that, right? And if allowed, sit closer to his feet and do some massage to his feet. If given a chance, applies. One of the one or two memories I had of this, because Karunaninda Garu was passed away sometime in 96, and he was a centenarian, a sannyasi who was there with Swami Karunyananda Garu. I had seen him once massage Swami's feet with lotion, right? He had some lotion and then he would massage. I remember being overwhelmed by the violence of it, right? Like he would take Swami's toe and turn it, and he would pull the toe and rub it. And I was actually the tender lotus feet kind of a thing. But the joy that Swami got, Swami would sit like that, and the motion of his hand would not stop, right? He's not even looking at Karunananda Garu. Karunananda is not looking up at Swami. His focus is only on the feet and how to twist and turn the toes and pull, and the joy that I lived with that, and what I'd seen just got a glimpse in 96. One day when I had just entered around 12 o'clock, Swami had called me for something. I had got a glimpse of it. I still remember I lived that for years together from 2003 or 2004 onwards, that I'd had my heart's content of doing that, polishing of the toe and pulling of the toe and polishing the heel. That was the 10 to 11, 10 to 1 period where, he would sit with his feet up and, allow that beautiful relationship between the devotee and him to grow deeper and deeper. 10 to 10 was, as I said, over and above this was the official place where people would come and take instructions. Bhagwan has so many roles, so many multiple roles. He wears so many caps, right? So many hats. And this was his hat as the trustee, as the sole trustee of the Central Trust, and the chancellor of the university, right? And the trustee of the medical trust. And he would be doing the management aspect. And the trepidation in the hearts of the finance officers while asking for an increased budget, the fear in the eyes of the finance officer for asking for a new machinery, right? The worry in the registrar's eyes when talking about something that has gone wrong in the school. This is Bhagwan as a chancellor, as a trustee, as a sole trustee of the Central Trust, right? Bhagwan, merciless, telling that Tata Satwan Kunawa, is it your grandfather's property? Was the comment that I most often heard in the 10 to 11, 10 to 1 period is the Tata Satwan Kunawa kind of was the favorite tagline of that thing. It's the devotee's money. You have to be careful. How can you splurge it? This, that. Creating that control, creating that financial accountability, that drilling it deep down that you guys are accountable. You guys are not here to spend the devotee's money. The intensity with which he would guide that, it's a tremendous learning, and I remember one of the most what shall I say, job that I had loved doing and was feeling most honored was to write the amount in the check, right? So every month the checks that were written, so they would send the financial statements, and then the exact amount from each of the 4 accounts, the Indian account, foreign account of the Central Trust, the medical trust, and all those things. I used to manage those things, and to write the exact amount and then give it to Swami to sign and take his signature was a beautiful task. And then slowly, it was only about writing the check in the earlier days, right? And he groomed to take that task seriously. Earlier, the only responsibility was given that you write it neatly. So my only focus was handwriting has to be neat, right? And count the right number of zeros in the thing. So it started with that, to the level where there was a very important decision. I'll just give you an example of how he grooms us to take a stance, right? Taking a stance is not an easy task, right? So it was sometime in 2001, the super specialty hospital in Vrindavan had started, right? The Whitefield super specialty hospital that had got inaugurated. And there was a major push in about 6 months after that, 3 to 4 months of that hospital functioning in 2001, I think, 2001 January. There was a push for opening an account in Vrindavan, right? In a Canara bank or some bank in Vrindavan, a donation account, because when somebody comes to the hospital here, they feel like donating, so we should collect donations. Swami was against the idea. He said that this hospital is not meant for collecting donations. It is meant for doing seva. It is not a showcase, right? And many of the seniors were pushing for it. And Swami said many a times, this happened twice or thrice. And he had told us, he had called the boys and said that make sure that this account is not opened. And he had told me specifically, this account should not open. Probably has given instructions, Chahala Santosham Bangaru, you can do what you want to the seniors, but he tells me this account will not open. I told Swami, I'll tell them that Swami has said. Swami per chappodu. Don't tell Swami's name. Right? Taking a stand. Do not say that Swami has said, but this account will not open. So Chakravarti sir would start from, I'll get a message in Vrindavan that brother Chakravarti sir has started, and he has given us a resolution. He has taken a printout of a resolution for opening the account, right? And I'd get that message, and I would be typing out, vigorously typing away as to the rationale as to why the account should not be open, because the most important line cannot be said that Swami doesn't want, right? So teaching us to think critically, to create the right kind of a argument. That was one of the finest trainings that I think I have received. And by the time Chakravarti sir comes to Vrindavan, and I'm in Vrindavan, so I'm not aware of what he is coming with. So, very innocently, sir, here is a note, sir. I think there is some discussion about opening a new account. Sir, here is a note that I've prepared. Please have a look at it, right? He's sharp, right? Chakravarti sir understand that this kid will not do something without a larger instruction. And the importance of taking a stance. I know most of you are understanding what I'm, alleging to, what I'm, pointing towards by narrating this incident, that it is important to take a stance. When we feel that things are not going right, it's an important decision to take. It's an important thing to take a stance. And there are some stances that have been taken which are very vital for the long-term progress, the long-term goodness of the Sathya Sai institutions and the Sathya Sai organizations. I think let us all understand from the 10 to 1 time frame that each one of us are being groomed to take a stance. And taking a stance is never easy. Taking a stance is full of fear. You have to overcome that and know that you trust in a higher truth. You trust in something perennial. No, it is not a decade long or a few years long thing that we are working it. It's a Sathya Sai mission. It's for the millennia, right? It's for centuries. I think taking important stances are vital. So to be clear as to why some stances are being taken is very important, and to be able to articulate that strongly and stand by that in spite of the fear, in spite of the shivering feet. I'm talking about myself then. Okay, so it's important, and that's the training. That's the takeaway for me from the 10 to 1 time frame. The 1 to 4. In that around 1 o'clock, Swami would, take a little bit of tiffin. He would, eat maybe 1 idli, or sometimes when he's dieting, he'll take half a idli, right? That kind of a thing, and maybe a little bit of upma, or there is something called gunta panganalu. I don't know whether you know. Who knows who is gunta panganalu? It is that idli batter that is kept in those small holes, right? And it's fried. It's like a fried idli. It's called paniyaram, right? Yes, sorry. Gunta panganalu is Telugu word. Kuli paniyaram, right? Yes. That was an absolute favorite for this meal with Swami. So many times we would keep the gunta panganalu away and serve him something else, knowing that afterwards, if we show that, he will have a couple of morsels extra, because he would never say no to the gunta panganalu kind of a thing. So some cheating that we used to do at that point of time to make him eat a little bit more, right? So this is the afternoon thing, and that's when his another friend, Mr. Chiranjeevi Rao, used to come, right? He was Chiranjeevi Rao sir was most of my friends used to be 80 plus at that point of time, right? I mean, at a point of time, all of them, right? So, and Chiranjeevi Rao sir was a wonderful, he was, I think, the most loyal person I have ever seen, unconcerned about anything else in the world. Like, loyalty is only towards Swami, like the bulldog of Swami kind of a thing, right? He would, he would be loyal only to Swami kind of a thing, and it used to be a wonderful thing to look at, his interaction with Swami, and the way he would, Swami would ask the question, Yemi Samacharam, right? So what news, right? That's this, Inkem Samacharam. And he would take it so literally that he has to tell a new news, right? And and he would, his time in the office, his preparation in the office, between say 11 to 12:30, nobody should disturb him. He would be opening the newspaper and taking notes, right? Because and he would have a and he would not waste paper. He would not take a spiral bound notebook, etc. He would have taken small pieces of paper, and then he would have stapled it together, and then he would take very copious notes in that, in his with his small fingers. He would write, and and the moment Swami says Inkayam Samacharam, he would get up and one day he'll tell that Swami, this Naxalite cut off the head of that person, Swami, kind of a thing. All the most gory news would come out at that point of time. And Swami would say, Niki, ikkadra ilantivi vastayi niku samacharalu. Where do you get these kinds of news, man? Kind of a thing. Swami would ask him, karma Swami, em chesedi. It's like, my karma Swami, what to do? Right? Right? So that interaction, this was a time frame where where wonderful interactions used to happen, and but every single detail of politics would be discussed, of back and forth, and it's a very relaxed period, after the post that tiffin period, where he would sit for some time, and then around 2 o'clock he would get up and then go, just waiting to, we could see that by around 1:32 he would become anxious. He'll be waiting. My devotees are waiting there. I have to go for darshan. That excitement would pick up again, right? And he would get bored of the relaxed period at that point of time of only dealing with the devotees' letters and the official interactions. That's all. And his anticipation would grow for getting ready for darshan. I still remember one day, normally by 3 o'clock, the darshan music would start. After that 1 o'clock period, 1:30, when Swami goes up, my duty was to go back to the office, and I would spend about an hour and a half, two, before Swami goes for darshan, where I would come to Mandir for a while. But that day I had heard that there's no music. The music wasn't starting around 3:30. And I came back to Purnachandra, and it was nearing 3:45, and Swami had not yet come. And we would sit. We were not allowed in those days to go upstairs, so we were sitting down, waiting for Swami to come in what is called the lift room in Purnachandra. And suddenly the lift button started glowing, and we know that Swami is coming out. When Swami came out of the room, his eyes were bloodshot, and he's saying, "Hey, time in Indra, time in Indra." He's telling him, "What's the time? What's the time?" That, no, kind of an anxiety, full drama, I know that. But no, he's asking, what's the time? What's the time? I slept away. I didn't know what's the time. All those, but eyes are bloodshot. Then I just held Swami's hand. It was hot, right? That he was running a fever. No, Bhaktul wait chestunaru. No, devotees are waiting. And then he told, "I'll get ready and come." Right? He went up. Just 7 minutes, 8 minutes, when he came down, fresh as a flower, sparkling eyes, beautiful, the hair completely done up, and the amount of time Swami would take to get ready, the intensity with which, the intent with which Swami would get ready to come to all of us, right? The care that he would take about every aspect of his, his physical form, because he knows that we are all eyes are watching him, watching his every smile, that twitch on his on his lips, the flaring of his nose, the wafting of the hair, right? Every single thing is being watched by a million eyes, right? And Bhagavan would anticipate all those things and prepare himself for us, right? We think that we get ready for darshan, and we go, we pick up the whitest of the white pears from the hostel, right? We used to have concept of darshan whites, right? We had, for the university, when we go to college, it could be the faded yellow, yellowish white, and with the dhobi would have done everything with that, and we wouldn't wear that. But for the darshans, it would be darshan whites, right? We had this concept, and we thought that we are like prim and proper. Some of us in the hostel, they would have bath only at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because morning college we can go anyway, but before darshan we'll have bath and go, kind of a thing. So different theories were there in the hostel. We get ready, but here is Bhagavan, right? Preparing himself to come for darshan, and that anticipation was the highlight of the 1 to 4 period. 4 to 7 period, I don't think I need to speak much, because all of you have seen the 4 to 7 slot, and that's the workshop, I call it, right? That's the workshop for the students. That's the place where the maximum amount of intense work on character development would happen, right? The interactions with the students, the kind of time that Swami would spend with them. Here is a 70-year-old. I remember when we were there, Bhagavan was in his late 60s and early 70s. And where do we see a 70-year-old standing and 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 17-year-olds around him and laughing with joy? Where do you see that kind of a thing, right? It's the ever youthful nature of Bhagwan that used to make that happen, right? And that's the 4 to 7 time frame. The 7 to 10 time frame. I won't speak much about the 4 to 10, 4 to 7 because we all have seen it. Just one big memory for me is the very first year of my stay in the hostel, where I had just come back from school, from the college, and I realized that everybody is in the dining hall. And in the dining hall, there is like a war map, right? Like a war strategy going on about with the layout of the mandir. Where is the Ganesha statue? Where is the interview room door? Where is the bhajan hall door? And there are arrows showing that this platoon will attack from here, this platoon will attack from there, this will block the exit for Swami, etc. Basically, for quite a long time, Swami was not speaking to us, right? And there was a campaign being created of how to surround Swami and gherav him, right? That it was on a presentation, right? And one of our lecturers, one of our teachers, hostel teachers, he was creating the strategic plan. I was like, my first year as a student, 17-year-olds, all gung-ho about being there and and getting an exposure to that, right? Saying that here are we recapturing our Swami. How dare he not speak to us? Right? We will not allow him to escape into the interview room. So this group, I was in that group. I volunteered myself to be in that most dangerous group of blocking out his exit plan, his escape plan, right? Kind of a thing. Just imagine what happens, what goes through the minds of these youngsters who are who are led by such strategists to capture the heart of the divine, right? So this is just a glimpse of what happens, and there are multiple such workshops that might have happened in that period for the students. And so dear brothers and sisters, the reason that I'm sharing this is to deepen or create more layers in your appreciation of the divine life of Bhagwan, right? To understand that there are so many layers and than what we think as the darshan and that beauty of Swami, and that interaction and that blessing and the vibhuti that Swami had given, the music and the bhajans that we felt. There is a tremendous amount of work that goes behind all those things to make that run smoothly, right? To give you that joy of those bhajans. Swami would have 100 frowns on the boys for going a little bit offbeat, for going a little bit out of Shruti, right? Swami would trample on the egos of people, of students who would start their own bhajans and compose something new and try to present to him which was not appropriate. He would absolutely destroy the ego of some of the youngsters who would try to give new turnings to the bhajans, right? The new musical turns to the bhajans based on the whims and fancies. There is so much of work in the workshop mode that Bhagwan would put in to give that experience. When we run an institution, when we run an organization, are we paying attention to all these small details? I loved the amount of, I didn't see this. I loved the amount of work that happened in the bhajans today, right? The beauty of those slides, the amount of preparation that would have gone through, for these sisters and these brothers to sit there and having those slides in that big font. So I'm sure even the person in the last can see it. There is so much of attention to detail. I mean, I was absolutely floored by that diligence, right? And are we being that diligent in everything that we do in the institution? Wherever we feel that things are not going right, I think the first check is there enough diligence? Is there enough attention being paid to details in those things? And that is what Bhagwan's thing is all about. I'll skip to the 7 to 10 prahar now, and this was the post bhajan, evening bhajan time. Again, a relaxed few moments he would spend. He would before his dinner, and then after all the crowd gets dissipates, the cooks would come with their, bags, and then serve a very light dinner, maybe one chapati, or sometimes when he's, when things are good, he would eat two chapatis, kind of a thing, and a little bit of beans or some light vegetables, or a dal with green leaves, right? That was one of his special, one of his favorites. He would finish that, and then he would again sit for some time and talk before leaving upstairs. And again, this was 20 minutes of walk, right? 20 minutes of walk was, by the clock, 20 minutes he would walk in that. I still remember wherever he is, right? In Vrindavan, in Patti, in Kodaikanal. Kodaikanal's room was even smaller, right? Even within that small thing, he would walk. He would go L-shaped. He would find out a way to walk, but he would walk, and he would be very, very brisk walking. I remember in Vrindavan, I would sleep in Swami's room alone, and and in Vrindavan, it was my duty to walk along with him, right? So we would crisscross, right? We'll go up and down, and this thing. And there was a beautiful day. One afternoon, we had gone to this Bannerghatta National Park. There was a national park nearby, and Swami had taken all the boys there, and there we had seen a little one of a cheetah, right? A cheetah cub was brought, cheetah or leopard, I don't know the exact animal, but it was brought, and Swami was seated in those, that rickety bus, right? Swami had made him, the national park buses would be there, right? His car wouldn't go all the way into the forest. Swami was sitting in that rickety bus, and I still remember, Swami was, this is the door of the bus, and there is a seat on the other side of the bus, and typically you sit this way, and Swami was sitting like this, one hand this way and the other hand holding the front seat. And the bus had stopped, and this guard had brought the cheetah there, and the absolute brilliance in Swami's eyes, the childlike wonder in his eyes as he was looking at that cheetah, right, was tremendous. And then he saw, then they allowed the cheetah to took it back to the cage, and it was pacing up and down. There were two cheetahs, and the smaller one was brought, and it was pacing up and down. See the childlike wonder of Bhagwan, right? Firstly, that when you I only read it in literature about the depth of the eyes or the twinkle in the eyes, but that was the first time I remember seeing that twinkle in the eyes, right? In Swami's eyes when he looked at he looked at me. He looked at me, and that his eyes actually were sparkling. And then again, he's back to that joy with which he was looking at that cheetah, right? And that night, as we were walking up and down, right, he tells me, remember the cheetahs going up and down? See the childlike wonder. I mean, here is the Divine Master, right? Again, changing lives, transforming, scolding the registrars and the vice chancellors and the others. He's a boy. He's young at heart always. How do we live a life with that simplicity? How do we live life in the present? How do we, deal with all the challenges of life, yet be tender, yet be available for experiencing the beauty in life, right? That's my reflection on this 7 to 9 walk time frame. The 10 to 4, it's 10 to 1 and 1 to 4 time frame. Typically the time for rest, typically the time for rest for all of us. And the thing that I remember the most was an incident of Swami telling one of the brothers. I was very new at that point of time. I was just started sleeping in Swami's room, and Swami calling the boy who was the other brother who was in charge of the room at that point of time. See that chair in the bathroom, it's squeaky. When I sit and and turn it squeaks. Put some oil on this, and do that. The reason he's doing that is because we would be sleeping, he wouldn't be, and he would be inside in the bathroom in that squeaky chair, and when it turns, it squeaks, and he's worried that it'll disturb us, right? And he says that put some oil. The reason I'm bringing this up is that the next question that I'm going to ask is, what do you think you will have? What if you go to Swami's bathroom and open the cabinet? There's a huge wooden cabinet in Swami's bathroom, and if you open the drawers, what do you think you'll find? Books, handwritten books. There were like, dozens of handwritten books, right, in the bathroom of Swami. And one of these days, when I was seated and Swami asked me, what are you reading these days? And I said that, Swami, I'm reading Bhagavata Vahini. And Swami went into a wistful look and he said that the way he started was, Itla Ochi Ninchukune Vadara. He said he would come and stand this way. He starts the story, in a very abruptly. Itla Ochi Ninchukune Vadara. I'm looking at who is he talking about? I said Kasturi would come and stand this way. And at the beginning of the month, he would come and stand this way, afraid to ask, hold Swami accountable for his deliverables, right, of the next issue of the Vahini, right, because he is in charge of the Sanatan Sapti. He would come and stand this way. I would say, Unai po tisko rapo. And Swami would say that Ratri, without switching on the light, with a torch, he would sit inside the bathroom and write the Vahinis, because he was worried that if he switches on the light in the old mandir, the 10 to 1, the 10 to 4 period, that prahars, if he switches on the light, devotees outside would think that Swami is already woken up and they would get up and go. I didn't want to disturb them. I would sit in the bathroom and write, right? And this was probably in the 60s and the 70s. And that habit was there even in the 2000s that I saw him sitting. Probably he wasn't writing at that point of time, but he would spend time just waiting for the world to wake up again to receive him. As the years passed and we came towards the 2010, 2011, I will leave you with the last memory of coming back to the 4 to 7 prahar, the morning prahar, of a memory where that day Bhagwan had not gone for darshan. That had become a common occurrence where he would miss darshan for 2-3 days. You're all aware of that. And on that day, he was seated there, and I was slowly giving him the apples. His hands were too weak for eating the apple, taking it on his own. He was finding it difficult. So I was feeding him the apple and holding the glass for him to drink the rava ganji. And because he was not going out too much, I used to open up the top floor balcony so that at least some fresh air he would get and some bright light would come. It was around 6:37, 7:30 probably. And at that point of time, there were those pigeons, right? They would, all the pigeons would be there, and there was a pigeon that was going up and down in the balcony, on the top floor balcony. It's a pigeon, right? A gray pigeon. The twinkle in Swami's eyes matched that of seeing a cheetah, right? And that memory of 15, 10, 12 years back came flashing back to me when he looked at me and looked back at that pigeon. Beauty is everywhere. In spite of the failing physical body, right? The spark of the divine, the love emanating for all of creation, all of humanity, not just all of humanity, all of creation, was still radiant in Bhagwan's eyes, right? And that's the memory of a 24-hour living with Swami. There is a lot to reflect, dear brothers and sisters. Allow it to marinate. Allow it to, go deep into you. Let it pull out prahar by prahar. Discuss about it, think about it. Relive those moments with Swami. And let's see what transformation it brings in all of us. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.